Today, I'm going to be interviewing Rachel Howe, an award-winning writer, on how to create an incredible and authentic dating profile. Subscribe to our channel for more information on different dating challenges that can be really tough to overcome. I'm Aviva Gaskill. I'm a clinical psychologist who's helped dozens of people overcome fears and challenges that they have, including how to set up a dating profile. Join me with expert Rachel Howe.
We're doing. All right. So, hello to everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. Hopefully we'll see more people logging on as we go. So Rachel Howe is an award-winning writer, and she's going to be speaking with us about how to write a great and also an authentic dating profile. So I would love to just, first of all, welcome to Bet Me a Date, and thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm also your sister, so I think we should introduce that.
That is true.
I thought you were going to say I was an award-winning dater, because I think I should get a
dater.
I should ask my boyfriend. He's over. He's over on the other side of the room. Am I an award-winning dater? He's shaking his head in total disbelief. He says, for him, I am.
Hi, Andrew.
We should round up like a collection of past first dates and ask them if I'm an award-winning dater. Well, thank you for having me. This is a thrill. So thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about you, other than about your award-winning dating?
Nope, that's it. That's my entire bio.
Okay.
I have been married. I think this is the personal stuff is relevant here. I've been married, and I have 3 children from that marriage. It was a 10-year marriage, and I have a current partner, and we have 1 baby together. I live in South Philadelphia, and I work at Temple University. I currently am a grant writer. I also teach English and creative writing there, and I publish short stories and poetry in small literary magazines. And so that's my basic. I've also, run programs and stuff with college students. So a lot of service work as well.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, like you said, right, the personal stuff is relevant because you were someone who wasn't really in the online dating world in particular in the beginning of your earlier life, but then you ended up going into the online dating world a little bit before you met your current partner. And so I feel like that's really helpful for people, especially I feel like single parents, it can be really hard to put yourself back out there.
It can be. I have a lot of friends in their 40s who are having a good time.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to talk about that and having fun too, because I feel like it's important to have fun, and it can be a lot of fun. So first, what are some of the elements that you see? What's in a great dating profile?
Yeah, so I thought about this a little bit over the last few days, and I was able to do a little research, market research, just asking some friends, asking my partner. So I think that, your point earlier about authenticity is really important. So, there are some do's and don'ts. And I think that what makes a good dating profile is getting a strong picture of who the person is, both through their photos and through their written words. And then also those questions that you can, sometimes some dating sites have specific questions that they'll ask you. So, answer as many of those as you can. So getting a good sense of the person's interests and their personality, that's really good. But I think what makes a great dating profile is really getting a sense of their energy and their, there are some qualities that really can come across through language and can come across through photos. But I think language is really helpful to aid those pictures that really can give a sense of their energy. And that's sometimes that's often hard to convey, which is why I think you can have a really good dating profile without it. But I think when you're really using language well, that conveys that deeper sense of, what you're going to bring. Hi, Debbie. Then I think that makes a great dating profile. And I'm not just saying this because he's in the room, but I really thought about it last night. The example I want to bring up is my boyfriend, that the way he uses language, and I'll give you an example. Earlier, he used the word peacock as a verb. And he said he was talking about peacocking and men wearing great accessories. He did that in his dating profile, and it really made an impression on me. And I do specifically remember that I really wanted to meet him. So not only was that clear,
he had better jewelry than you.
No, it wasn't his peacocking. It was his use of language and words like that that gave me a really strong sense of who he was going to be as a person.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I wasn't like, oh, you use the thesaurus in your dating profile. I was like, oh, that really is who you are.
Yeah.
So speaking as you are and really allowing those deeper parts of you to come through makes a great dating profile. But it has to ring true. Like, don't get out the thesaurus and try to put in fancy words.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's an excellent point, because I do think that sometimes people try and overdo it. And the thing is that there can be many drafts of this. It doesn't have to be like you put it out once and that's it. Like, you can kind of change it as you go. I mean, most people are on dating sites for at least a few months. And I think adding things in that feel more authentic to your voice, that feels important. What else do you feel like is in a great dating profile? Are there certain other things that you feel like?
Yeah, I do want to say a few do's and don'ts, if that's okay.
Yeah,
but I want to speak to your point about editing. And so this is me speaking more as a writer. So some basic writing advice that I would give is that I would not write my overall profile directly into the app. I would sit down either with a piece of pen and paper. I mean, they do still exist. Or I would, go into Word for Windows, and I would, or even if you're like a real phone junkie, go into your notes and I would type it out. And then a major piece of writing advice that I would give for any type of writing, but especially for this, I would read it out loud. If you can, like, rope your roommate or your best friend or frankly your dog or whoever into listening, all the better. But even if you just read it out loud to yourself, read it out loud. First of all, you'll catch basics like spelling mistakes and typos.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you'll get a sense of how it sounds. And you put yourself more in the reader's position when you do that. You take yourself out of the writer's position and put yourself into the reader's position. So I would read it out loud, and then you can go and make changes. And like you said, once it's up, if you discover something or you want to add something, you had a new experience, you can always go in and edit it and change it. But I think putting it into a different format first and then you can just copy and paste it. That's pretty easy.
That's so funny. It's something I never would have thought to do. But as you were saying it, I was like, oh, that's so smart. And I feel like even if you don't have anyone around, you could even record yourself sort of, saying it out loud, and then, go back and listen to it, in a day or two or something like that, and just listen to what it sounds like.
I love that. But honestly, like, read it to yourself in the mirror, just read it out loud with any piece of writing. And it just saying the words out loud will make you hear them in a different way.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's what I use in my therapy practice all the time. Right. So, yeah.
So as far as, some dating do's and don'ts, I wanted to, I'm going to try something. Let's see. Let me know if you lose me. Okay. Just give me 1 second to see if I can pull this up.
Yeah, we lost you.
Okay, so I had some do's and don'ts written in my notes, but I can't see them on my phone. But
you can share them in the comments afterwards. That would be great.
Okay. So some don'ts, if I can start with some don'ts.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Yes.
Don't do that. People will figure it out.
Yes.
And don't bring up all your past baggage. And I don't mean to say, like, don't say that you've had past relationships. That's fine. I think, especially by a certain age, if you haven't had some past relationships, that would be, it may not be a problem, but I think it would bring up questions. So I think having past relationships is fine, but don't bring up all your anger. We don't need to see all the things that you're angry about right in your dating profile. You can that's like third date stuff. Don't bag on people. past relationships or not. One thing that I've seen in a fair number of dating profiles is, if you are this type of person, don't message me. Yeah, you can just not respond to those. We don't need to see all of those. That really comes across as angry. So I think staying away from that angry is a really good first tool. And then another don't either put in, I am an open book. If you have questions, just ask. Because that is what the dating profile is for.
Yeah.
Some people will say, this is a work in progress. I'm getting to it later. Well, that can be tomorrow, but if it goes more than 24 hours, no, you got to put something in there. That's really not fair to do to people. I do want to say too, one thing is that I have, only read men's profiles. So I don't know if some of the don'ts really refer more to men. I do want to go, especially, I think these can be for both genders, but I think it is more with men. Don't be disgusting, either in your pictures or your words. I don't mean you can't hint and be sexually, playful, but please do not be disgusting.
Right.
That's not just... it's a real boundary issue, and it's really offensive. And then I would say also, don't be offensive in general, unless you are, in the KKK and you are looking for someone else in the KKK. Stay away from generally offensive. If you have to ask yourself if it's offensive, I would go with don't include it. Feel the person out and see how they are. And sometimes things that we think of as sarcastic or they're witty with an edge, I would say, pull back from those. I am personally a person that does witty with an edge a lot, but I don't think that your dating profile is the place to put it.
Yeah.
So good profiles, on the other hand, are open and honest. They're conversational. They especially start out in a conversational manner. They let you know about the person's interests, as well as their personality. And I would say specific. So I really get annoyed when I see somebody that says, I like music and I really like good food. Well, no, I hate food. I don't eat ever. And I never listen to music. No, don't tell me you like music. Tell me, I really like rockabilly, or I love Chopin. Yeah. Give me some band names. Give me, some concertos you listen to, whatever it is. And the other person doesn't have to like classical music. That's okay. You could be exposing them to something new, but being specific is, and if you really love rockabilly, you need to put that out there, because if the other person doesn't and they really hate rockabilly, then you should probably not be dating, or you should be able, or it should be somebody who's going to be like, I hate it, but I'm a person that can let you do your own thing. And then, they have a sort of that ability to make that decision. And
or maybe one thing is their first love, right? Maybe rockabilly is their first love, but they also really appreciate Chopin, but they wouldn't put that per se in their dating profile. That's their own dating profile. That's okay.
Right. But I think, you're giving the person the tools to know what to work with. If it's too general, I might really love the music you're into, but I'm going to pass you by because it's just not enough information for me to make a decision. And I think the same, we're talking about words, but I think the same things go for pictures. Yeah. I think pictures, as they say, can convey 1,000 words, but there are, some basic rules. So first of all, you should have a mix of pictures that show you doing action. It is okay to have one group shot, but I need to be able to figure out who you are. So if they're all group shots, I can't figure that out. Do not... If you include a picture with your head cut off, I will assume you are married and cheating on your wife.
Yeah.
If that is the exact message you want to include, go for it. I guess that's your message. But if that is not the message you want to go for, don't do that.
Yeah.
And you should include some that show your body. And if you do not have a perfect model body, that's okay. I have dated plenty of people who did not have model perfect bodies, and I do not have a model perfect body, but that's okay. We're just putting it out there. Do not show a picture that shows way too much of your body and body parts that are not appropriate.
Yes. We were just discussing this too with Kate Benson on how to do a good photo for your dating profile. And not too much of you. That's too much of you is too much on when I haven't even talked to you yet or messaged you
Yeah.
yet, right?
And I think, frankly, in terms of heterosexual relationships, there are maybe different expectations for men's pictures than for women's pictures. But I think it's fair to say that most women in heterosexual relationships want to have a general sense of the person's body. I think a lot of men are very afraid of not being tall enough. I know women do have that issue. I mean, there are some really, there's some real sexisms that still exist, and one of them is about men not being tall enough. But frankly, it's not going to go any better for you if you make it look like you're really tall by, I don't know, taking a picture in front of a model house and making yourself look like a giant, and then you show up and like, you're really not that tall.
Yeah,
Like,
or saying
may as well get it out there.
Yeah, you're 5'11" or 6 feet tall when you're really 5'6". Like, yeah, you're gonna show up and someone's gonna go, "Oh, you lied to me. That's crappy."
Yeah, that's gonna be way worse. So just get out there. I'm short and wonderful. Like, own it.
Yeah, or just I am. You don't have to say I'm short either. This is who I am.
Right, but I'm saying I think some things may come across in your pictures, like if you have a shot of you and your two brothers and you are the shortest, that may be obvious. But that's okay. Like, so what? You know, that's who you are.
Yeah. Own it.
Yeah.
Where else do you feel like people go wrong? Are there other places that you feel like people just make some big messy mistakes with this?
I think just in terms of like, I think the honesty thing is really important. I think the anger thing is really important. Don't spend a lot of time telling me what you don't want. I would definitely spend more time telling me what you do want, and just be open and honest about it. And be open and honest about what you're looking for. I always included in my dating profile, like, I just got out of a divorce. I am not looking necessarily for a long-term heavy-duty relationship. I am looking for going out on dates and having fun and going out to dinner, and like, that's what I'm about right now. Like, just keeping it light and easy. Like, we can go out, we can fool around. I'm really open to that. And I would give hints that, like, my sexuality was kind of up for grabs. Like, I am not going out and being like, oh, we're not kissing till the third date. That's not what I was presenting. And then at a certain point I was looking for a little bit more, and I really wanted to make that clear. But I think doing it in a sense of like, this is what I am looking for, rather than this is what I'm not looking for. I think it can shut people down a little too quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So going back to the idea of fun, where does fun tend to get lost for people in their dating profiles, do you think?
I think with that anger and with the I don't want, I get a sense from that like, this is a person who really is not enjoying this experience. It's a little bit harder for me, to be frank, because it's not like I'm a professional dating profile writer. Sure. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. Because I enjoyed it so much, and because I had so much fun, it's harder for me to talk about where fun is lost. I do think, I do want to say this in all seriousness. I do think that there are a couple of places where people do lose fun. And this is not speaking from my own experience, but a couple of places that people don't enjoy it is if there is a real aggression. So like, if people feel harassed in messages, if people feel like there are inappropriate things being shared, either in photos or via words, that makes it really unfun. It makes it scary. It makes it feel like not a safe space. I will encourage you that if you are, if you click on somebody's profile and you see either inappropriate photos or inappropriate language, whether that's sexual or some other way, like, I want to kill all the bitches who blah, 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 blah. Email the report it, flag it. That is not just, you're doing every other person, man, woman, or non-binary person who would click on that photo, you're doing them a favor, and you're doing the dating site a favor, and you're letting that person know, like, this is not acceptable behavior. So I think that is really not fun for people. That kind of aggressiveness. And if someone's saying, no, I'm not interested in you, you need to leave that person alone. Like, no means no in the physical touching world, and no means no in the dating world as well. They
And
will let
pushing
you
that
know.
is not going to get you a date. Like,
Right. It's very easy for someone to unlike you or unfriend you or or ghost you. So yeah, if they want to, if you really actually do like them and I think I would be honest and say, I heard you say no. I wanted to let you know I'm gonna like let things go at this point, but I really want to let you know that I'm here. I really am very interested. I hope I didn't do anything to offend you. If you change your mind, this is where you can reach me.
yeah.
And like let them know like, oh, I'm sorry if I push some buttons, but like take a different tack. That is a point where you need to say, you need to take a pause and go in with a different approach, and then let them take the next step. Because I mean, people make mistakes, and I think sometimes people frankly on dating apps are not willing to give you a second chance because there's just so many people coming at them. But there are people who are willing to give you a second chance. I think that's good. I think we should encourage second chances. But you're going to let them need to do it. I know I've been talking for a minute, but can I just say one other way I think that things are not fun?
Stick around for more of Rachel Howe's insights on how to create a more genuine and authentic dating profile.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stereotypes out there that I think truly need to get acknowledged. I think race, unfortunately, still plays into dating in very negative ways.
Yes.
I think this is going to come across more in photos because people aren't going to necessarily get to the words, because those photos really are that primary front door of your dating profile. But I do unfortunately think that online dating is a lot less fun for Black women and Asian men, because unfortunately they do get passed by. And some of that race issue it's not necessarily people who are like, I hate Black women. I don't think that's necessarily conscious. I think that, there are stereotypes that play into what we think is attractive, that what we think of attractive is really deeply baked in. I do think that if that race is a really complex and complicated issue, and there are people who may not be interested in dating outside of their race, and I don't necessarily want to be judgy about that. However, I do want to say, if you're somebody who would sit down with themselves and say, well, okay, I'm a white woman, but I might be interested in dating a Black man. I think that that's something I would be open to. Then think about that consciously before you go in. This is more about the user and not creating your dating profile. But I would make a conscious decision to say, you know what? Today I'm going to try clicking on some Asian men's profiles and getting a little deeper and reading them, because it is something I would be open to. And I realize that I'm often swiping left before I've even given myself a chance to consider that person. And then you don't have to swipe right, but it allows you to be a little bit more open. So I think that is something that I've heard reported out a lot that has become really unfun for people.
Yeah. Be open and don't just like give in to the stereotypes. Like think about them a little bit and think about what you really are open to.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I think race is really complex. I'm not being judgy here. Like I know for me, trying to find somebody who was Jewish was really important, or for some people who are Black, they might really want to find somebody else who's Black, et cetera, or maybe someone who is Thai wants to keep those Thai traditions and wants to find someone else who's Thai. So like there can be reasons why we're not clicking on those profiles. But I think if you are open, make a conscious effort then to be open.
Yeah. That's such helpful information too. So anything else that you feel like you want to mention that you think would be helpful for people to know in terms of what makes a good dating profile, what doesn't? I guess I was thinking, as you were talking to just before we go to that, is that in terms of fun, like maybe write your profile on a day that you're a little bit happier, not on a day that you're feeling angry, because it's gonna come through, right? I know that seems like a simple thing, but like write it on a day that you're feeling good. Write it on a day that you're feeling joy and feeling confident, because on a day that you're feeling like shit, it's gonna come out that you're feeling like shit, or it's gonna come out that you're bitter at the world,
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because I think what some of those anger and no things convey is that you actually have a lot of self-esteem issues, and that's not going to be attractive.
Yeah.
But I would do this. I think that some of that is when I read profiles that I think are really poorly written. I do think that it is stuff that needs to get written. So I know that therapists will often suggest to their clients, like, you should write this person that you're angry at, write them a letter, a really mean letter, put all your thoughts into it, and then do not send it.
Yes.
So I think you can do the same thing with a dating profile. Like, I think that's the advantage of using a different app to like write your words, and that one that's much easier to edit in before you copy and paste. So I think that's a really great thing about Word for Windows is that it makes it a lot easier to edit than going in like on your phone and trying to highlight. So write your angry one on the day that you're feeling terrible, write it there, and then just keep it for yourself, or, to share with your buddies while you're out drinking, like, listen to this awful, like, you can laugh about it, but don't post it. And then go back in on another day, where you have some more positive things and I think that's really it, where you're feeling good about yourself. I think that's what you really want to convey. And I think these things go for dating, for the actual date itself. Now, you can't, if you set up a time and you end up having a crappy day, like, you still have to go and, like, put on your best possible face for that day.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of these rules apply to the actual date themselves. Like, be positive, be open, don't lie, be open and honest, share as much of yourself, within reason as you can.
Don't overshare or be
Don't
overly
overshare.
explicit, especially on date one.
All of those things. Yeah. And then if you are having a crappy day, say, like, look, I've had a crappy day. It has nothing to do with you. I'm going to need a few minutes. And then, that person is going to be like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Why don't, maybe vent, like, maybe they'll let you vent to them for a few minutes, and then you can go on and go back to the open and honest, and they're going to really appreciate, as opposed to, like, you trying to hide it, and then it's all going to come out, no matter what. It's going to come out somehow.
Yes. Yeah, it seeps out, and like, maybe in a passive aggressive way, which again is worse. Like, I'd rather have someone tell me, oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a really off day.
Yeah, I need a few minutes to collect myself. It has nothing to do with you, and own it. I think owning it, and I think that maybe gets to what you were saying about, like, dating once you have kids, dating once you have a divorce. Like, don't overshare. I agree. Like, we do not need to hear about, like, these are the sexual positions I enjoy the most, or this is the worst thing that ever happened to me, and, like, I have a real problem with keeping secrets. We don't need to know any of those things. You don't need to overshare. But I think that there are things like you've got baggage, I've got baggage, we've all got baggage. I think if you need to own that stuff right away, like, almost like a Craigslist ad. I'm selling a bicycle right now and it has some problems with the brakes, and, like, they need to know that before they make the trek out to my house to view this bicycle.
Yeah.
And same thing with me. I've got kids. They are really important to me. Yeah. You need to know that before we go on any dates. Yeah. And I might get a call from the babysitter, and that's going to interrupt our date. And that's who I am. If that's not the right thing for you, don't make the trek out here to view my bicycle.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. But don't sign up for something that you're not willing and wanting to sign up for.
Yeah, and I think make it a positive. Like, I don't know. I never, like, I do have a lot of baggage, in that quote unquote sense. My life is very complicated, but also I've learned a lot. I'm a wonderful mother. I have a lot of love to give, and my children have taught me how to bring that love forward. I have learned a lot by being a mother, not just about mothering, but about life and how to be kind and empathy. And I think that makes me a better partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. And frankly, I think it makes me a better date, even if we're not going to be partners forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have fun. Oh my God, have fun. Yeah. Don't do this if you're not having fun, please. Do something else.
Have fun and then come back to this. So thank you so much for talking with us about this today. Where can people who are interested find out more about you and the work that you do if they want to hear more from you?
Nowhere. I am not an online presence. Do not check out my LinkedIn account.
Well, you're here on Instagram.
I have some work in, I'll say this because I feel like maybe we'll get more listeners from Philadelphia, but I have some work that has been published in Philadelphia Stories, and I'm actually included in their newest anthology. And so that would be a great way to check out one of my stories.
Yeah.
Join us on betmeadate.com to meet all of your dating goals. Like, subscribe, and check out more of our content on overcoming your dating challenges on YouTube from Bet Me a Date.